Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome to Keepers of the Stone, the first expansion for Against the Storm. This goes on sale a bit later this week, but thanks to our friends at Hooded Horse, we're getting to take a peek at it early here. With the caveat that this is not necessarily like final code, there might be some small glitches or problems here and there that should be fixed by the time this thing's on sale and available to y'all. So if those of you who have been around here for a while might remember, we took a look at Against the Storm a few months ago. I was very into it, but we didn't actually finish it because I kept screwing up and doing a bad job. So this is an opportunity not just to take a look at some cool new stuff. There have been updates in addition to the DLC since we last played, but also maybe to reclaim my dignity a little bit. This is an opportunity to get it right. So let's step in here and do exactly that.
The world is plagued by the Blight Storm, a vile cycle of destruction ravaging everything in its path. The only safe haven is the smoldering city where the mysterious Scorched Queen reigns. You are one of her Viceroys, a pioneer sent into the wilds, tasked with establishing new settlements and acquiring valuable resources for the crown. Your goal is to help rebuild the smoldering city and secure the future of the Queen's subjects.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't remember, this is a sort of like a city building roguelite. It uses a lot of the concepts of city building games, but you basically just do the beginning part of establishing a settlement, and then once the settlement is kind of like in place and self-sufficient, your job is done and you get moved out deeper into the forest to do it all over again, which I think is brilliant as a concept, because that initial establishment part is the most interesting part, in my opinion at least. It's the only part of these games that I tend to enjoy, so I really appreciate a game where it's just the fun part over and over again. Alright, apparently we are doing a tutorial here. Listen, we know some of the basics of this. Here we have our impatience meter. Letting the impatience meter fill is how you lose the game. It's one of the ways you lose the game anyway. And we also have our reputation meter over here, which is a good thing to fill up. Eventually, this is how you win the settlement, thus allowing you to move on to the next one. Alright, so we got ourselves a blueprint choice to make, except not a choice. This time we're just getting one, the very most essential blueprints at the beginning here. Yeah, a woodcutter's camp. Starting point for woodcutters to go out and chop trees. So it is a real-time with orders, pausable sort of game here. We have a main, like a hearth here, where we must keep the fire going at all times. It is of critical import, and that means you gotta have stuff to feed to the fire. So we'll set this up, and you can see our citizens running out and grabbing the materials necessary to build this up. We've also received our first order. These are bundles of wood, like bundles of goods to deliver, things to build, just tasks for which we will be rewarded with some kinds of goods that will help us in the city immediately, but also reputation to help us fill the meter so that we can move on. The whole thing is basically a race to fill the reputation meter before the impatience meter fills. All right, let's assign a couple of bodies to this task here. We have some of these beaver folk, very good at cutting trees, as you can see here. There's a specialization bonus for woodworking, and they'll just kind of chop whatever's nearby. We can specify certain trees that we would like them to harvest. Like, I'm going to say focus on these, because I want to dig us out into this glade here. Revealing these open glades on the map is a tremendously important part of advancing each of your settlements. So, to successfully establish a town and therefore win a run, you need to collect enough reputation points to fill the blue bar before the red bar fills up. If the queen loses her patience, you also will lose, and you also could lose by having everybody in the village die. You would hope to avoid that. That's a pretty tough one. It's difficult to make that happen. Oh, I can't remember. Press R to rotate. It's right there on the screen. Thank you. Let's put this up here. And we'll dig for this this as well. And once that's set up, we'll have our order complete. I'm going to just speed things up a little bit here. I prefer to play the game a little bit faster, but with more pausing. Alright, so we've got our order completed. We can come over here and hit the deliver button. We get 3 more beavers, a bonus to our woodcutters camp production speed for the rest of this village, and also very important point of reputation. And every time we gain reputation, we can get more blueprints. Our new thing is explore some glades, assign 5 beavers as woodcutters, which we will have done in no time here, to get some humans to join the settlement, and also food, because it is important to be able to feed your people. So, you are surrounded almost entirely by thick forest at the beginning of the game, but there are all these glades around your starting location. You want to cut your way through them because they contain all kinds of stuff. Some glades contain, some of these bigger glades out here, will contain more resources, but in addition, some kind of threat, something that can be potentially very harmful, perhaps even run ruining. So you have to approach these things with care. All right, we got those 3 extra beavers from turning in that order, so let's get all of them working. Oh, right, we should grab our blueprint for reputation here. The shelter. Shelters are important. Villagers got to have a place to sleep. So all of your housing buildings have to be built within a certain distance of the hearth. The hearth is the only source of warmth and light in the village. Pretty important that we make sure our people have access to that sort of thing. So each shelter gives us housing for 3 residents. Right now you can see here we have 3 humans, 6 beavers, and 3 lizard folk. So let's put up 4 houses. The rotation on these doesn't actually matter. It's entirely an aesthetic concern. And you can see your people have to, the beavers are chopping down the trees, running the wood back to the woodcutters camp, and then eventually the woodcutters camp fills up and things have to get run back to the main warehouse where everything gets stored. And then from the main warehouse, resources are pulled out to allow you to actually build stuff with them. So there's a lot of running back and forth and making sure that your villagers have clear paths and roads and stuff. We'll get into all that. Can be very helpful. So yeah, if we lay down a path, villagers who run along it will get a 5% speed increase. Let's just go ahead and do some very basic path work here. All right, we've got 2 glades. This glade has sources of eggs and roots. This glade over here has a bunch of flax plants, which is handy. Let's go turn in that order. We're going to need to build another shelter. All right, new objective, get a forager's camp, forage a bunch of stuff. Okay. Straightforward enough. And hey, look at that. It's the recipe for the forager's camp. The plan, I guess, the blueprint. So you can see when you're putting down a gathering building, it shows you the area that it works in, and it'll highlight any appropriate resources that are within that area. Seems perfectly reasonable to just lay this down right here, and we may as well throw some path along the front of it. All right. Now, the basic level of path is free to build, but it does still take somebody time. You can see villagers have to actually construct each square of this stuff. I'm going to also just build some more. I'm just going to put down a bunch of path here. And then our other shelter can kind of hang out at the corner. All right, we're doing okay on resources. There are a lot of different kinds of resources in the game, so they're collapsed into a couple of different categories up here at the top. You can see here we have all of our food and the sort of the trend of our resources. You're good at gathering. So the different species have different specialization bonuses that make them better at various jobs. There were previously 5 different species that you could have. I believe the DLC has added a 6th. I don't know what their deal is. We'll encounter them when we encounter them. So yeah, we got some humans out here in their big heavy raincoats gathering vegetables. I know how to mark trees for harvest. So once a building has been placed, these woodcutters camps and stuff can be very easily moved. So I think we're gonna pull this one up to here and just cut through those trees. And I'm gonna move this one deeper into the forest, I think. Because we can only, you know what, actually, let's pull it over this way. That's not the big, no, that's not the big clearing. Pull it over this way. Okay. So we can just pick those up and move them around like that. And this will allow us to uncover more glades, find more cool stuff. Who's managing the hearth right now? A lizard folk. So each of the different factions, each of the different species gives a different buff when tending the fire. Each hearth needs to have a fire tender. You can see lizard firekeepers are very adept at the ancient rites. They give +1 to global resolve. I'm sure the tutorial will talk about resolve in a moment, but it's this number you can see here underneath each of our species groups. It is very important to keep resolve high. Villagers with low resolve take penalties to their work rates and stuff, and they will eventually leave the village. Which is a real good way to lose. Which is a real good way to lose the game. Alright, next, construct a stonecutter's camp. Get some clay. I think we can probably do that. Your renown grows. So we have a couple of clay deposits right here. I guess we'll just put this right next to the woodcutter's camp. This woodcutter's camp's actually kind of in an awkward spot. Let me move it over a little bit. You can see there is a tile basically that you need to have accessible in order for the camp to work. So I need to move that woodcutter's camp over so that both of these buildings are accessible at the same time. And once this is built, we're going to throw, I don't know, some humans on mining. We don't have anybody who's particularly good at mining, so just whoever is good enough. Alright, another glade, this one full of root deposits, edible roots. And what's in this one? Oh, we have already completed that order. That was pretty fast. So we'll deliver that, get a little bit more reputation. They want us to build a harvester's camp now, and you'll never guess what the reward for finishing that previous quest was. So this one can gather plant fibers, reeds, and leather. And you'll notice some of our camps are... We'll talk about the size of the resource nodes later. I think we can maybe just put this down right here. This is an awkward size of... Yeah, the gap here is not ideal. Whatever, it's fine. Every building has its own internal storage, where the goods it produces or gathers are temporarily stored. And then when internal storage reaches its limits, goods have to be moved to the main warehouse. This is all done by foot. So you put down some roads, they will get a lot of traffic. That 5% speed increase really does add up over time to a lot of efficiency. Okay, so we're doing that thing. We've found some more flax and clay. That's all fine. Ah, and we have newcomers waiting. These people have been sent here by the crown. Which group do you want to stay? So each group of new people has some new citizens in it, and they bring with them some supplies. I don't feel very strongly about this. I guess I'll take the additional bodies. It's good to have people. Let's make sure they have a place to sleep. And also, somebody's got to get to work at this harvester's camp. You know, we haven't assigned any lizards to work yet. Alright, so they'll do their thing. And we're just continuing to gather resources. Now, you can see here in the middle, there are different seasons. We go through a sort of a very simple year cycle. I can move my woodcutters camps a little bit deeper here and start chopping into further glades. I suppose we ought to. So the game is prodding me to do. Obviously, the further out we move the woodcutters camps, the harder it is to get the trees, to get the lumber. Oh, that is the dangerous glade. Yeah, that's a fair point. Never mind, I do not want to chop through to there. But the further out we move the woodcutters camp, the harder it is to get the lumber back to the main warehouse, which will affect us both in terms of how long we have people, how much time people are going to spend on the task of running the stuff back and forth, and also how accessible the wood will be for actual building. In theory, that kind of stuff could matter. Right now, we're operating at such a surplus that it's like pretty whatever. And we have completed yet another order. We are burning through this tutorial. It's almost like I kind of already know how to play this video game. Alright, so for this quest, we are being asked to make some more advanced materials. So let's talk about that. Here's the design for a crude workstation. I want to put this pretty close to the main warehouse. And this is a big part of the game is refining resources into other resources. As you may imagine, if you've ever played a game of this type before, this is very common stuff. As I was saying, there is a sort of a simple seasonal cycle, and it is about to be the storm, which is a pretty big season. And if you remember the name of the game, it's a thing that we are definitely against. I'm going to apply a couple of workers to this thing, and we need to leave some of these recipes active. I'm going to turn off the pipes recipe. We don't need to be producing any pipes. Also, I don't think we have the raw materials for that anyway. But all of this stuff is of some import. So produce us planks, bricks, and fabric, which are made by processing wood and plant fibers and clay. And we're pulling these in from our other buildings. And if we click here, you can see we can set which resource they're using to make the stuff. We can see very quickly at a glance here how much we have of everything. Okay. Anyway, let's unpause. Here comes the storm. So life's a little harder during the storm. You can see there's a lot of lightning. I believe we are burning wood in the hearth a little bit faster. -4 to global resolve. An additional stack of this effect is added for each hostility level. That's a thing we'll talk about later. I believe that'll be tutorialized to us. But yeah, resolve goes down. People are just kind of miserable, and worse things will happen eventually. For now, the storms are going to be generally pretty gentle. All right, so we got our people working away, refining stuff. All there really is to do is wait on that. Oh, we've discovered an event. A destroyed camp in the wilderness. There are still survivors in this area. So we can welcome these new people by sharing some food, and they'll come and join us. Or we can send them home to the Citadel. We can give them some food for the journey. And they will bring back the crown will give us amber for this. Amber is an important trade resource. We don't actually have to worry about this right now, probably. I'm just going to leave this uninteracted with. This is a Glade event where there's no pressing reason to deal with it, but, you know, sometimes you'll break into a Glade and the events will be things that demand your immediate attention or threats to you, some kind of threat to your village overall. Okay, people are working, it just takes a while. And here, at the beginning of each new year, we're going to be offered a cornerstone, some kind of improvement to the civilization, a reward for surviving the storm, essentially. So we can take carpenter's tools here. Production is 50% quicker in the crude workstation. Or an exploration contract. Gain 20 reed and 20 clay each time you discover a glade. Well, I mean, obviously, carpenter's tools is much more relevant to our current situation. Okay. So that's got us. We're finished with the bricks. We just need planks and fabric. Okay, and they're working on planks and fabric. There's a fair amount of like just setting your people up for success and then watching and waiting while they achieve that success. And this is a part of the game that gets to me a little bit because I'm always nervous that something's going to go wrong. If I'm not like actively doing something, I'm just like waiting for bad things to happen. So we get some parts and a bonus to the effectiveness of this crude workstation, as well as our penultimate point of reputation. Pretty great stuff. All right. Cut through the forest to discover a dangerous or forbidden glade. Change the resource from scrolls to fabric in the ancient shrine found in the dangerous glade. And deliver an ancient tablet. Okay. So, we know where a dangerous glade is, I suppose. You know what? I would really like it if you would finish cutting through to this glade. Let's de-emphasize the trees that are not, like, the most important here. This is all within range, too, right? Yeah. I do want to see what's in here. It's probably not directly relevant. Okay, we've discovered an already extant building, a ruined building, unfortunately, which we could break down into salvage, or we could rebuild and have access to a free herbalist camp, which is pretty cool. I do like the idea of rebuilding that. Let's put some people on it. All three of you. Go do the thing. Estimated time 20 seconds. I feel like they probably have that under control. And here we are being offered specialized housing. So specialized housing accommodates fewer inhabitants and obviously only inhabitants of a particular species, but it gives a significant resolve boost. People like to live in housing that is built specifically to accommodate them. So obviously, that's a pretty powerful thing. Right now we are, well, there's more beavers than anybody else. But these upgraded housing types often are built with upgraded resources. We certainly do not have the planks to try to accommodate all of our beavers of this stuff right now. All right, let's grab this, move it over to spot over here. And have at it. I'm trying to make this a little narrower so that they focus. Do I want to? Yeah, let's build a path down here. We're being told there are no builders available, but remember, yeah, we're gonna have this task finished in just a moment. You can see we're already kind of stretched for people to take on new jobs, and as we continue to build more refinement buildings and more gathering buildings, that's only going to get worse. It really is helpful to have more hands, but obviously more hands also means more mouths. which can be problematic. It means you need more housing. It means a lot of things. Just one of the many balances that we will have to manage. We do have a group of newcomers, extremely welcome at this moment. Humans or lizards, I guess, arbitrarily humans. Another house. I did not measure this out. It's kind of an awkward... Whatever, it's fine. So you can see here the indicators, the little tooltip things up here, tell you at a glance how many people don't currently have homes. So we just have the three homeless, and this will be resolved presently. But I like that that's so easy to keep track of. There's definitely a design philosophy for these things that's like, to some extent, a UI that's not super readable is a kind of difficulty. I don't much care for that sort of design, and I'm glad that they've really worked to make things like visible and comprehensible here. So we've discovered this ancient shrine. This is a dangerous glade event. If we don't deal with it in 42 seconds, the curse of the forefathers is going to kill 3 random villagers. Wow. And it's unfortunately probably going to take us more time than that to deal with the problem here. So that's a bummer. All right. Okay, it takes less time to resolve this. What do we do? Are we rebuilding it here? Well, in any case, we're delivering planks and fabric. So go to it, you 3. So you can see they'll run over to the warehouse, they'll grab the stuff, and then this fellow is coming with some of the planks right now. Unfortunately, we are still going to get... The thread is going to trigger once before we have the opportunity to finish this. So there goes some villagers. Craftsman, a forager, and a scout. Okay, scout means that they weren't assigned to anything in particular. You can see it will just keep happening if we don't deal with it. But fortunately, we are already working on it. Okay. And now that that's clear, we're going to grab the ancient tablet out of here. Somebody will be along to grab the ancient tablet out of here and move it back to the forest after these ones have taken their rest. Villagers have to occasionally take a break and go warm up by the fire. They occasionally have to run over to the warehouse and get food. But okay, our human worker is trucking the ancient tablet right now. And there we go. Our final point of reputation, and with it, the victory. This village has been secured, but there is one more test of your skills. So we picked up a lot of the basics there. Hopefully that wasn't too fast. I do feel like it's important to play through the tutorial again for the new people. We've unlocked a lot of the basic designs that we unlocked during that scenario will remain unlocked for us in all future scenarios. I do think it's important to do the tutorials for the new people, but I'm also trying to get through it quickly for the people who are already familiar with the game. So hopefully we're hitting that happy medium here. All right, let's start the next village. Villagers with low resolve will start leaving, increasing the queen's impatience. If the queen thinks we're doing a bad job, obviously she grows impatient with us faster. Keeping resolve exceptionally high will grant passive reputation over time. So you can see here, there is a threshold, and we get an idea of that from the tooltip that will just tell us straight out. But whenever a species is above their reputation granting resolve threshold, the resolve number turns blue. So it's easy to keep track of whether you're on it or not. And you can always see the little blue mark in the bar. Satisfying your villagers' needs with complex food, homes, and services will increase their resolve. So we can see here the grid listing all of their needs and what's being fulfilled and what they're getting bonus resolve from. So they have basic housing right now. That's fine. Advanced housing would be better. They also would love it if we had porridge for them to eat. Humans love porridge. Biscuits as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And pie. Every species, of course, has their preferred foods. And then on top of that, some other sort of service needs. Coats, someplace to hang out and drink with your friends, religion, etc. Each species has a different mix of needs. It's hard to please everyone all the time. But there are some places where they overlap, and we can aim at those. Farmers can only can plant only on farm fields, and those can only be built on fertile soil. Crops are planted in the first season, drizzle, and harvested during the second, clearance. And then the third season, of course, is storm. Build a farm, harvest some grain, serve some ale in a tavern. Okay. That seems very doable. So we're being given the farm blueprint. So again, as always, we want to make sure we're building the farm in a place where it can actually access the fields. I guess this is as good as anywhere. Oops, and then I right-click instead of putting the thing down. Apologies, my hands do not always do what we might most want them to do. Okay. You can gain reputation points, which is the way that we win scenarios, in 3 different ways. Successfully completing orders, and this is what we're going to get a lot of them from early on, especially. Exploring surroundings, because sometimes there will be events in glades that will award reputation for resolving them in certain ways. And by keeping villagers happy, getting above the blue threshold. Orders are very straightforward. You will always get at least 1 reputation point for completing one. With time, your villagers will become accustomed to their living conditions, and the reputation threshold will increase. Yeah, if you keep them above the blue mark will keep climbing up. And to acquire reputation from exploring, you'll have to cut your way through the forest into dangerous or forbidden glades and complete the glade events located there. And as you've seen, even if we get to a glade and we have everything that we need to resolve the events within, just unveiling them can be dangerous and costly by itself. So, yeah. Forest is a dangerous place, it turns out. All right, let's put down one more farm. We have another set of fertile tiles here. Let's do some work. So we'll go 1, 2. We'll leave some space for housing. Okay, we're also going to need to start gathering our basic resources, right? So at the beginning of each scenario, they're going to drop us in with some number of tools, some parts rather. Parts are what these are called. Parts are what you use to construct your basic gathering structures for the most part. So let's spend some parts on... I do think I want 2 woodcutters. Yeah, okay. Get to work on that, friends. Build out some road as well. Alright, we'll assign humans to the farm here. Once the farm has been put down, I gotta remember to convert these fertile ground spaces to fields. Which for some reason is a thing that has to be done manually. Alright, and then we don't have a 4th human, but we can set a lizard to work on the farm. They'll just be a little bit less efficient. Alright, so we've got our first order, make a farm, get some fields laid out. Yeah, easy enough. Over here, we will assign beavers. I didn't actually look at our population. We don't have the people to run another woodcutters camp just yet. We'll get there. It's fine. Okay, there we go. Farm order complete. So, 2 more bodies and a bunch of barrels, which will be important for the ale later. Alright, form some woodcutters camps, build some shelters. Yeah, pretty important stuff. Well, it's interesting that they make you kind of like earn the shelter design here, because I believe that's not going to be the case later on when we're starting settlements. We'll start with a bunch of base blueprints, and the shelter will be among them. Okay, so a cornerstone here. We're given one right off the bat. A bonus to small farm production, or 5 barrels per minute. Barrels are hard to produce through actual production buildings, especially like right at the beginning of the game. So I'm going to take just some free barrel delivery. That seems pretty important. And then we're going to need to build at least 2 more shelters. Okay. And they'll get done as, wood gets accumulated and... Okay, good work, everybody. I don't really want to put anybody else to work. It's not a good idea to have everybody, or even close to everybody, having a job. Like, for a minute there, we only had one person who was, like, ready to do additional stuff. But if you find yourself sort of, like, overcommitting your workers, it becomes very difficult to, like, get buildings built and roads and stuff, because you need somebody to handle that. Alright, a couple more pairs of hands here means we could probably start running that second woodcutters camp, although maybe we ought to save them for trapping. So build a small trappers camp, get some meat. Do we have a... Okay, we have a source of meat over here. These critters, slick shell brood mothers. That is certainly something. There's not really a good spot to put this trappers camp at the moment. I'm going to drag this woodcutters camp over here, and we're just gonna chop some stuff away here. Alright, then we still have 2 people who aren't assigned to anything in particular, so they can be our builders and our resource runners. Although eventually we're going to have to repurpose somebody to actually work this trappers camp. I think I would like to put it right here, so we just have this one square is obstructed by trees. Hopefully they'll deal with that quickly. I did kind of, like, when you prioritize a large set of trees, you're kind of giving them the option of what order they want to work things in. That's not always the best idea. I could have, like, more narrowly defined the set of trees that they need to chop. Alright, there's a trapper's camp. This is a thing that the lizards are a little bit better at. I will go ahead and commit both of you to this for now, just until the order is finished. And everybody's doing fine on resolve for the moment, which is important because we're about to change into clearance season, and clearance, as I remember it, is a little bit shorter than drizzle. Maybe not. Storm's 4 minutes off still. A little bit of leather. We don't really have sources of leather right now, so I'm inclined to accept this group since they're both the same size. Let us... Well, I probably want to lay, like, a path across here. Then just build the shelters on the other side. I might actually, let me bump one worker from this farm at the very least. We have here, oh hey, we've discovered a supply cache. Lost shipment, or perhaps something more valuable. We can break it open ourselves and take advantage of Okay, some food and a perk, or we can send the cash back to the Citadel and gain some reputation. Queen will be happy with us, and some amber that we can use to trade for things. These send back to the Citadel responses, the kinds of things you can do in clearings that will grant your reputation, almost always cost this tool resource. And you can see we've started with 30 of them. We don't really have a way of building any more. So that's something to be aware of. I think I am going to commit a couple of bodies to sending this home to the Citadel. The tool depicted is a crowbar. I'm not really sure what exactly it is. I guess they're like opening the crates to... If we're just sending them back home, it feels like we could just leave them in the crate, right? Whatever, it's fine. Alright, so some upgraded resources are our reward here. And now we are to make a smokehouse and produce some upgraded goods, it looks like. Yep. Produce jerky in the smokehouse. Okay, I guess I'm gonna build this right here. This fits in rather nicely, right? And it's not too far away from the main warehouse. Alright, that should be enough housing for everybody. Yeah, nobody's reading as homeless anymore. Got this thing going. How long do we have? Okay. Another 48 seconds before y'all are available for other tasks. Now, keep in mind, we have a number of things tracking in real time. You know, tasks get done in real time. The weather creeps forward in real time. But I'm pausing the game a lot, and when the game's not paused, it's running at like double speed. So, in case you're wondering why time seems a little bit hinky, why things are not happening 4 minutes after the 4-minute timer starts, you know, just keep an eye on this. So we have 2 different specialization bonuses here, and they're both matched by lizards. That's interesting. So you can, of course, make insect jerky, but why would you do that when you can make meat jerky? And we just have to run the recipe a couple of times. The trappers are out there gathering meat as quickly as they can. I might just leave one person running the smokehouse so that we don't get too ahead of our supply of meat. Sorry, it should be just meat. You can select multiple goods there. What I did was add meat to the selection of resources that could be used to make the jerky. But I really do want some focus. Okay, over here we managed to dig through the trees to discover a small encampment. You know, I would love to welcome some new people. Okay, and we have vegetables. We can just hand them some vegetables. This is going to occupy our last person for the moment, but we don't have any important construction tasks right now, so it's not really such a big deal. Okay, also that event just got resolved, so the people who were working on that are going to be available now to work on other stuff. I will tack one of them on here immediately, and then you know what? Well, no, I probably don't need to put anybody else to work in the smokehouse. I was going to say we have a free lizard now, but I probably want to leave that lizard free for the moment. Okay, here comes the storm. Overall, not too bad. We're in pretty good shape resolve-wise. You know, obviously they don't want you to lose the tutorial, so... Alright, things are going well enough. We're just waiting on a little bit more jerky production. They're getting there. They're getting it. So, if we pull these open, you can see that while each species has its own unique group of needs, its own unique set, and we are, at this point, producing jerky. The critters are getting jerky, and you can see it is helping with their overall resolve. There are often going to be overlaps. For example, both humans and lizards love pie. So if we can figure out a good, efficient way to make some pie, we can bump resolve for both of these groups up at once. It's important to target those kinds of overlaps where you can. You know, in actual play. Obviously, right now we're just waiting on these order goals to get completed. So notice also we are depleting the resource nodes in the world. Stuff does run out. Gathering nodes do run out, as well as trees. Let's relocate you over to here. We'll cut through this glade. Got ourselves a cornerstone. Bonus goods produced in the brewery or grain production increases by 1 every 25 times it's produced. That's interesting. I mean, what we really want is just like a bunch of ale, right? And then also some new people. We have a source of clay right nearby, so I guess I'll take this crew over the others. And once again, we're going to need to make a building. Alright, a little bit off the beaten path. Until we beat it right over to the door here. Alright, that should take care of all of that. Jerky is still... It just takes a while, you know? Alright, do we want to move our... woodcutter's camp over anywhere else here? Like, I think probably... Let's pull it back a little bit and use it to cut through here. There's maybe a lot of trees, actually. Okay, I'm more comfortable with that. And we completed our order. This time, make their brewery, enable barrels in the ale recipe, and produce 20 ale. And we'll get even more stuff for making ale with. Handy. So, if we're going to set up a brewery, it looks like we have just the spot right here. Oh, and the lizards, with just one of their needs being met, have already trended up toward blue, and you'll be able to see if you pay close attention this bar creeping slowly higher. All right. Apparently, humans are extra good at brewing. So I'm going to turn off these other recipes. We need to make sure that we are focusing on making ale in barrels, because that's the only container that we have. Okay, and we're making it out of grain because that is what is coming off of the farms. Alright, so this stuff should get, yeah, it's just going to get produced naturally. They're gonna work that out for us. At first, meeting needs is really easy, and it's also just, like, extremely valuable. Extra sources of reputation. Very important stuff. Get some copper ore and some barrels if we just break the crate open for ourselves. I want to send it back to the Citadel. Generally, more reputation is a good thing. Here, we'll have 2 more of the humans come over here and do that. And for the moment, it seems like everything's going well. Gosh, some higher level crafting tasks really do take a while. There are ways that we can speed this stuff up, and we'll get to them when we get to them. So as soon as that second order of ale is finished, finish this off, get ourselves a whole mess of planks, because it's time to build a tavern. We have the ability to produce the ale now, but ale does not just turn into leisure by itself. You need a place to drink and hang out and carouse. So let's gain the design for the tavern. I don't know that it matters terribly, like where along this road we put it. All right, we have enough idle hands in the village that this should get built pretty quickly, although notice it does require some advanced resources. Do we have enough of all this stuff? Do I have the ability to build... Yes, a crude workstation. Let's do so, because it looks to me like we are short a little bit of fabric. Okay, so let's put a couple of people to work here. We don't really need bricks or pipes right now, but we sure could use the other things. Alright, so villagers fulfill their most basic needs, such as food or clothing, at the hearth, and need only the right goods to do so. However, there is a separate category of needs that require not only resources, but also a special type of building in which to fulfill them. These are called services. Service needs includes things like leisure, luxury, and religion. To fulfill them, the village will need a suitable service building and also some kind of good. Each one requires a type of good. So yeah, we are working hard on that, although I did not leave us with a lot of people to help produce this stuff. Housing specialty, you know what? We have a lot of humans right now. How are we doing on wood? Okay, you know what? We can probably... I'm going to cut a couple of people from this wood camp here. Just pull back on that a tiny bit. Also, bring in some newcomers. You know what? We'll bring in more humans. And we're going to need to build some housing anyway, so we may as well get fancy with it. So you can see here, this new fancy housing is going to require both boards and bricks. Not really a thing that's super convenient to do right now, especially since, you know, we need at least one more set of boards for that. We also don't actually have the clay for the bricks, because we have not built the gathering structure for that, but I think probably we ought to. So for right now, I'm going to put this right here. This will make a little bit more sense when the clay deposit's gone, but it's still a place that's not like super difficult to get to. Alright, so let's put that together. And we have enough hands now, since we just got that new set of people in, that we can work this. And humans have a brewing specialty. So most of these service buildings are going to offer a couple of different types of services that we can run. Luxury requires fancy wines. We do not have the ability to produce that, but we do have ale. In addition to those, you're going to have some kind of passive effect, usually one that requires people to be working at the building to fire. Every evening, a gleeman, a man who creates glee, tells stories about past glories and times before the Great Civil War, +3 to global resolve. Pretty fantastic, makes it a lot easier for us to hit and stay above our reputation thresholds. And you can see the three workers assigned to the building are going and grabbing the ale from the main warehouse and stockpiling it in the building so that it can be used to fulfill the need for leisure. I'm going to re-enable the brick design. We don't have a lot of clay right now. I'll say we can use stone for this as well. Oh, and our trapper's camp has exhausted its supplies. No more meat for us. It's fine. We found other things for them to trap. And you know what? While you're at it, there we go. Let's just build a road out there real fast. All right. So at the moment, the the humans are the only ones who actually have this need, so we gotta wait for the humans to come over here and desire leisure. It's getting done, though. Slowly but surely. And as our supply of improved goods grows, we can start building human houses. You can see our humans they're just meeting and beating their blue threshold as it is. Okay, a place for rest. Notice this has almost got us finished because we have been gaining reputation from having our species in the blue this whole time, and in addition, we've pulled a point of reputation out of map events. So this is going to give us some more tools and some barrels and stuff. Alright, objective, keep human resolve above 25 for 30 seconds. We sure have done that, so we can immediately deliver this and just win. Alright, we've leveled up and gained some more basic blueprints, new citadel upgrades, flame amulets. Okay, a new kind of cornerstone that we can select. Yeah, cool. Cool stuff. And also food stockpiles. So we're picking up some resources here, some stuff that will be useful in the capital. Here on this map, in fact. The world is a vast, ever-changing place, and at its heart lies the smoldering city. Enter the smoldering city and use the resources you've gathered so far to buy the Obsidian Archive Level 1 upgrade. Easy enough. So here we can purchase upgrades, sort of our tech or perk tree, to allow us to improve every future settlement that we're going to try to build. This is how we accumulate long-term power. So the Obsidian Archive allows us to keep records about great viceroys, also a permanent -2% to the speed at which the Queen's impatience grows. That's good, I guess. We can also unlock Monastery of the Vigilant Flame, level 1, reduction to fuel consumption in hearths, and the ability to bring more stone or clay with us into a settlement. Or we could pick up this, which enables advanced controls for what is being consumed in your settlement and by whom. I do think this stuff is important, but you can see these also have other things up ahead. I don't know. I think I'm going to stick to this. The Queen's Patience bonus is kind of whatever. Consumption control we may actually need eventually. Okay, I think we're good for the moment here. This world is governed by the eternal Blightstorm cycle. It is almost upon us, so no caravans are allowed to embark. Press the button in the lower right to finish the cycle. As you can see, we have reached Blightstorm time. Your settlements have been abandoned. People are returning to the Citadel. The people out in the forest would not survive the coming of the Blightstorm. So, every so often, the weather's going to come along and it's going to reset the map. And our goal is to extend ourselves deep enough into the wilderness with a chain of settlements to do important things in the time between these great Blightstorms. For now, say goodbye to those two plucky little settlements we set up. It's fine. Your goal as Viceroy is to reach the ancient seals with your caravan and reforge them, pushing back the Blightstorm. You're almost ready to venture out on your own. Choose any map tile inside embarkation range to begin. So we are, you can see here, we're able to set out 2 tiles, able to move 2 tiles sort of per turn. And when we construct a settlement on a tile, we gather the resources from all the adjacent tiles. There's this fancy petrified necropolis over here. Rocks in this region have a very peculiar shape and they smell funny. Dead villagers turn to stone, Gain 5 meat for every 10 stone and clay produced. Okay, interesting. Don't think about it too hard. That tile has double rewards on it, as you can see. So yeah, I definitely want to set up adjacent to that. To embark, you must first choose a caravan that will become the foundation of your town's population. Next, choose a difficulty. The higher the risk, the greater the reward. And an inexperienced Viceroy won't last long on the higher difficulties. Nor will I, it turns out. As we know from previous experience. Lastly, use your embarkation points to take extra goods with you. You are finally ready to embark on your own. Hooray, we survived the tutorial. Remember, there is always a way out. In theory. For a while, there will always be a way out. You can absolutely build yourself into a situation where there is no way out. But let's go ahead and do this. You know what? Actually, we're going to start this up next time. I think that is a pretty good place to call it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, we're on our own, and we're not asking any questions about where all the meat came from. And we'll see you then.